Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I am Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
And we're talking about a sport in this edition of our program as we have reached the midpoint of October. And of course, winter is coming along. And so you might be thinking about different kinds of sports you might participate in. I think during the winter, basketball is your best choice. But the sport we're talking about today is probably best played during the summer, but you might be able to take a holiday to some warm country and play it there.
Yeah, I know some people will specifically fly to warmer climates just so they can play golf some more. That would be my family. We're going to talk about golf. We're going to look through the history of it. Where did it first start? And I learned something today. I thought it had started in Scotland this whole time, but it didn't. It started in the Netherlands. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the basics of golf. Neither of us are big golfers, but I've heard enough about it in my family to talk about it, I think. So it's kind of a fun thing to learn, and it's getting to be very popular, especially if you're in business. So stay tuned. We'll read through today's article. This is a 2-day unit, by the way, and then we'll be back.
Golf, a sport that involves swinging a club to hit a small ball over a long distance, has fascinated countless enthusiasts for many years. It is a game that combines skill and strategy and is also a cultural and social symbol. The origins of golf trace back to 13th century Netherlands, where a game called golf was played. Participants used a stick and a leather ball, competing to hit the ball into a target several hundred meters away with the fewest strokes. In the 17th century, Scotland held the first golf competition. It was at this event that the initial rules were established. The objective of golf is to sink the ball into a hole marked by a flag in as few strokes as possible. A typical golf course consists of either 9 or 18 holes, with each hole requiring a different number of strokes depending on the distance. Players must navigate through water hazards and sand bunkers before reaching the green where the hole is located. This entire process requires precise shot-making skills and strategic planning. To get the ball into the hole, players have up to 14 different clubs to choose from. Clubs are divided into woods, irons, and putters, with each designed for specific distances and shots. Additionally, accessories such as a golf bag and tees are needed. The bag holds other equipment along with food and water, while the tee, used at the start of each hole, elevates the ball to make the shot easier. High-quality equipment can help golfers play better and improve their scores. Okay, everybody, it's time for us to discuss the contents of our article for today. We are swinging through history, and it's a look at golf. Now, if you swing through history, in this particular case, it means you're taking a look at history. We don't usually say it this way, but we're using a clever title here to introduce our topic, which is golf. And when you're playing golf, you swing a club in order to hit that little white ball.
If you're lucky and you could connect with the ball. The first time I went out on a golf course with a friend, he's like, oh, you got to try it at least once. So I took the golf club and I thought, well, this can't be that hard, right? It's a little ball. I have a stick. I'm going to hit it. I hit the ground and it just, put a shock through my whole body because I was swinging quite hard.
Takes practice.
Yeah, it's not as easy as it might look, and it's actually quite difficult and is challenging for men and women throughout their lives. There are people still playing golf, if their backs are still good, into their 70s and 80s even. So, yeah, it's something you can take with you throughout your lifetime if you love it. We're going to look at the first paragraph here. It says golf is a sport or golf, a sport that involves swinging a club. That's what we call that stick. I was just making fun of the club by calling it a stick. But that's kind of what it looks like. And you're going to hit a small ball over a long distance. Well, this sport has fascinated countless enthusiasts for many years. Those are fans. Fascinated just means really attracted someone's attention. They love this stuff. I'm fascinated by people who sew well. I love sewing programs. For example, people are fascinated by lots of different things. We're all different. What does countless mean?
Countless means you can't count it. There are so many of that thing or so much of that thing that it's impossible to count it. And so we've got these enthusiasts who number in the thousands or millions. You just can't count how many there are. An enthusiast, of course, is somebody who is enthusiastic about something. They really like something. They're a big fan of something. Rah, rah, rah. So indeed, there are lots of people who are golf fans, whether or not you play the sport or not. And here in Taiwan, of course, it was a very popular sport, about 5 or 6 years ago when Yanni Tseng was like the world's #1. She fell after that, and you didn't see so many golf tournaments on TV after that. But still, I think people here in Taiwan like to play golf, although there are very few courses here, and I believe they're probably quite expensive to play at.
Oh, likely. It takes a lot of land, first of all, and we've got a lot of hills and mountains in Taiwan, so yeah, it's expensive. But it was exciting to have someone from Taiwan who was doing so well professionally. It was someone to look up to and be proud of, and I bet at that point in time there were a lot of little kids who were taking golfing lessons. Their parents wanted them to become as proficient and talented that way. I've got kids in my family who are as young as 5 who can play golf, who are taking lessons. We've got lots of golfers in my extended family. So it's a game that requires or combines, puts together skill and strategy. You have to figure out exactly how you're going to approach that ball, what club you're going to use, and how to hit it. And avoid some of the hazards on a course like sand, bunkers. We'll talk about that later. So it's not easy. It's also a cultural and social symbol. A lot of people consider it kind of more high class, middle, upper class to be playing golf, but not necessarily. And it's also very cultural. Some cultures love golf. I think the Japanese are really into golfing. I worked with a Japanese company in America, and boy, every free minute they had, they were either out drinking together, or they were playing golf, or both.
Interesting. I know the Koreans like golf as well. Many of the top female players are Koreans. And so, of course, golf is very popular here in Asia. So it's a cultural symbol. Everybody kind of knows about it, even if you don't play it. And, of course, we have a lot of terminology that we use in everyday life from golf.
True.
Shooting par or whatever, et cetera, teeing off. There are all sorts of different terminology that we have for golf. I played golf the last time maybe 30 years ago. I'm not a big fan of golf, but I know about the game. I know the rules and everything. I know the terminology, and pretty much everybody does. So it's part of our culture. Well, let's take a look at the second paragraph here. It says, the origins of golf trace back to the 13th century Netherlands, where a game called golf was played. So it goes back to the 1200s or the 13th century, and this is the Netherlands, which of course is called Holland in Chinese, but in English we say Nederlands. I think that's how they say it in Dutch there. Nederlands is the language, actually. So the Netherlands is that country in Europe that's next to Belgium and sort of near Germany.
Yeah, I was shocked to learn that they actually invented the game there. Of course, it didn't all of a sudden come into focus. You know, sometimes when a game is invented, it starts out with a different look. And then over time it changes, and they add rules, and they maybe upgrade the equipment that's used. 13th century is the 1200s, guys. That was a long time ago. So it was originally called golf, very close to golf. And the participants, the people playing, used a stick and a leather ball. Look how they don't even use the word club because it looked completely different. It was just a stick and a leather ball. I think today they're made out of plastic and rubber. But anyway, mostly rubber balls. So that's what they would use, and they would compete to hit the ball into a target. Oh, so they had something to shoot for that wasn't a hole in the ground. It was a target several hundred meters away with the fewest strokes. So it was still kind of a competition to see who could be accurate and have the strength, I guess, to get to that target in the fewest stroke. A stroke, you probably have heard this word before. We use it a lot when we talk about writing Chinese characters. which is just, using a pen and each movement or motion of the pen is a stroke. A stroke here would just mean each time you hit or swung the club or the stick here as it is.
Right, the swing or the stroke. That's how we describe it in golf there. And, of course, you use different clubs. You don't use sticks or bats.
No.
You use a bat in baseball, and you use a stick in hockey. But in golf, you use a club. And, yes, indeed, this is the original game here played in the Netherlands. They hit a ball to a target. When I think of a target, I think of archery when you're shooting arrows at these little red circles or whatever. But in this particular case, they were shooting at a kind of target, which was a long ways away, but you had to do it in as few strokes as possible in order to win the game.
Huh.
Now, in the 17th century, Scotland held the first golf competition. Now, of course, when we have people getting together for a sports contest, we can call it a competition. It could also be a tournament. We have lots of different kinds of golf competitions that go on every year. The Masters in the U.S., there's the Ryder Cup, which takes place, every 3 years or something like that. Those are examples of golf competitions.
But in modern English, we actually refer to those golf competitions as tournaments, don't we? Yeah, the PGA tournament. We wouldn't say the PGA competition. So that's the weird thing about English. Sometimes we use different words for different things. For a swimming competition, we'd say a swimming meet.
Right.
A golf competition, a volleyball
match, I would say.
Match. Yeah,
it's a game too, I suppose.
Yeah, you can get away with that. But for golf, we call them tournaments. There are different rounds that they play. It's not just one day. It goes through almost a week. It seems like, I don't know, for me, it felt like they would start on Thursday and end on Sunday maybe.
Right.
I don't pay enough attention. I remember when I lived in a cold climate, I would turn the TV on just to see green grass, and it would always be golf tournaments. I would have the sound down. I just wanted to see green grass. So the first time that they really made some big improvements was in the 17th century in Scotland. Now, moving on, before we move on, actually, this is a good place to take a break. We're going to listen to our Chinese teacher for a few minutes, and then we'll be back to continue on with that third paragraph. Stay tuned.
Hello everyone, 我是 Patrick 老师，今天讲解的是10月16号 Unit 11 Swinging Through History, A Look at Golf. 这个单元有2天的课文内容，要讲解的是第一天。不晓得大家有没有打过高尔夫球？台湾由于空间比较有限，尤其在大都会，我们不容易看到高尔夫球场。不过大家可能都在电视电影当中看过。那在很宽阔的草地上，有一群人走来走去，依序挥杆打击小白球。那今天的课文让我们了解高尔夫球的起源，还有高尔夫球需要有哪一些装备。好，那我们一起来看学习重点吧。请同学看到第一段第一个句子 golf， 那后面是同位语 a sport that involves swinging a club to hit a small ball over a long distance。好，这里就在解释高尔夫这一项运动到底需要怎么做呢？那你需要挥动球杆 swinging a club。那接下来我们看到，那这个运动怎么样呢？ Golf has fascinated countless enthusiasts。好，所以让很多人着迷哦。这个 enthusiast 就是爱好者。同学呢听过 enthusiasm 就是热情，那也听过 enthusiastic， 那在这里呢是 enthusiast， 它指的是人，爱好者。再来请同学看到第二个句子 It's a game that combines skill and strategy。 请同学把这个 game 画起来，我们不要把它翻成游戏，它其实就是指竞赛、运动赛。像比方说我们说奥运 The Olympic Games， 请记得加上 S。 再来请看到第二段第一个句子，这个段落呢就在告诉我们高尔夫球的起源。所以第一个句子很明确的就讲到这个起源可以追溯到 trace back to 13th century Netherlands， 原来起源于荷兰，13世纪的荷兰。好，请把 trace back 画起来。还有一个很常见的也是回溯的意思的一个动词片语叫 date back， date back， D-A-T-E， date back。 好，那请同学看到第2个句子 participants 这个句子 Participants used a stick and a leather ball competing 请同学把 competing 画起来，这里呢是分词构句，所以呢这些高尔夫球赛的参与者他们竞争，彼此竞争，后面呢是目的嘛，那目的是什么呢？就是希望呢用最少的杆数可以把这颗小白球打进他们几百公尺外的目标。好，那再来请同学呢看到第4个句子，我们讲到 It was at this event 就是在第17世纪在苏格兰举行高尔夫球赛的时候呢，定下了高尔夫球赛的规则。好 It was at this event that 那这一是分裂句的用法，强调句的用法，就是在苏格兰的这一场比赛当中，那他们首度呢制定了规则 Rules were established 请同学注意词语搭配，制定规则 Rules are established 这里用的是过去式 Rules were established.
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everybody. Let's continue talking about the history of golf. Where we left off, we said that it basically began in the Netherlands, and the game was called golf then. I think the word golf is an old word that means stick, basically, in the Dutch language there. And we also talked about the first competition that took place in the 17th century, which would be the 1600s, and that competition took place in Scotland. And it was at this event, at this competition, where the initial rules were established. The initial rules means the rules that they had at the beginning. And of course, over the years, they've made little changes here and there. But basically, the rules began then, and they're pretty much the same today as they were then.
So the objective of golf, what you're supposed to accomplish, is to sink the ball. We often use that verb to talk about golf. He sunk his putt, you know. It's pretty exciting to do that. So you want to sink the ball into a hole in the ground. It's actually in the ground, marked by a flag in as few strokes as possible. If you're watching golf on TV, or maybe you're there in person on a golf course, lucky you, you'll see that they have these tall flags that mark the hole where they're trying to hit their ball into. And once they get closer, they take the flag away because it kind of gets in the way. But they want the golfers to be able to see clearly where they're trying to swing and shoot for there. So, yeah, they're trying to sink the ball into a hole. A typical golf course consists of or is made up of either 9 or 18 holes.
Okay, so in my hometown, of course, we had a golf course that had 9 holes, and a complete round of golf is 18 holes. So what we did was simply play 2 rounds of 9 holes, and then you would have 1 full round of 18 holes there. And of course, each hole has a different par. It says each hole requires a different number of strokes depending on the distance. So you've got to par 3 holes, you've got par 4, you've got par 5, and you've got a different combination of them all, and they all come to the same number of strokes. Like 72 is the complete number of strokes you'll have for a course of 18 holes. That's pretty much universal. So yes, indeed, each hole has a different number of strokes. And
or par.
For par, right.
Yeah.
I think I was only able to par 1 hole when I golfed before, and that was a par 3 hole, which is pretty easy. All you got to do basically is hit the ball well on your first shot, and then you have 2 chances to put the ball in. But other holes are harder. They might be par 4 or par 5.
Yeah.
So you have to use wood when you tee off, and then you use irons to get the ball closer to the hole, and then you use a putter to put that ball in the hole.
That's right. So players must navigate through things like water hazards and sand bunkers before reaching the green where the hole is located. So where you actually start, your first shot is on something called the fairway, I believe, right?
The tee off.
The tee off. You're going to tee off, but you have to get past that long stretch of lawn.
The long stretch of lawn is
the fairway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where you see guys with a lot of strength hit that ball and it just flies into the air. And you sometimes can't even see where it lands. They're so good, the professionals at least. They can really strike the golf ball with a lot of strength. So if you navigate, guys, it just means you find a way successfully from one place to another. You might need to navigate from your home to your office every day. And sometimes the best streets change because of traffic jams, or maybe they're working on road. There's road construction. Here you've got to go and get around things like water hazards or little ponds or little spots of water on the course. Sand bunkers, which are just areas that are filled with sand. Those are really hard. And that happens before you actually reach the area where you can putt, your ball there into the last hole and finish that particular hole.
And this entire process requires precise shooting and precise shot-making skills and strategic planning, okay? So yes, indeed, you've got to have some great shots there when you try to put the ball into the hole, and you have to know which club to use. You have to be aware of the wind and the terrain of the golf course and things like that, and the nature of the ball, how it flies through the air. So you have to know all that stuff. So that, of course, requires shot-making skills. And, of course, you also have to have strategic planning, which, again, involves looking at the land. Where is it higher? Where is it lower? What's the ball going to do if I hit it over there? Where's the wind blowing, etc.? Yeah, you need this kind of strategy, this overall plan to have a good round of golf.
Yeah, there are a lot of things that you have to go through in order to make that perfect shot. Which club to use, as Tom said, is the wind blowing? From which direction? How much is that going to affect me? Is the grass cut really short, on that lawn? Sometimes the grass is higher. That's going to require a different club, a different strength that you use. There's so many things to consider. We're going to talk about who can help you with all this stuff in day 2 when we talk about caddies. But for now, we're just talking about the basics. So to get the ball into the hole, players have they can carry up to 14 different clubs, and they can choose from one of them. Clubs are not cheap, guys. They cost a lot of money, especially if you buy expensive equipment. You can end up really investing a lot of money. We'll talk about the cost of going golfing, but yeah, you've got a lot of expenses to consider. Now, those clubs are divided into something called woods. I used to think that woods, because I'd hear my brothers talk about it, I thought they were made out of wood. But they're not. They used to be, but they're not anymore. They're made out of metal. But because of their former material, they're still referred to as woods. Woods are the ones they use if they want to hit the ball the farthest. And I was reading online, because I wouldn't know naturally, that you use these for holes that are over 175 feet away. And then as you get closer to that hole, you're going to use, what do you call them, irons.
Right.
And then, as Tom said, the last club you're going to use are putters. Putters come in all shapes and sizes. Some I've seen are kind of crazy looking. They look as tall as the golfer himself. I've seen those. Those are kind of funny. But they're all kinds of putters. Usually golfers are better at one thing than the other. They're better putters than they are hitting off the tee, which requires a lot of strength. But if you're professional, you've got to be really good at everything.
Right, and the putting, of course, is very tricky. You have to know what you're doing there. And yes, you've got different kinds of clubs. You've got woods, like 1, 2, 3 wood. And the irons are 2, 3, 4, 5, I think all the way up to 9. And then you've got the pitching wedge and then the putter. Now, clubs are divided, as you said, into woods, irons, and putters, with each designated for specific distances and shots. So yes, you're going to use a wood to tee off in most cases, and then you'll use irons as you get closer to the hole. Now, additionally, accessories such as a golf bag and tees are needed. So in addition to the clubs and the ball, you need some accessories, which are things that go along with the game of golf. And we've got some examples of some of these accessories, like in a fashion, of course, a bracelet, a necklace, a ring. Those are all accessories, fashion accessories, a scarf or whatever. But here, of course, we've got accessories such as the bag itself, the golf bag, and tees, which are those little wooden pieces that hold the ball up when you tee off, when you start a hole, and you might have some other accessories in there as well.
Yeah, those little tees kind of have a pointed, sharp piece at the end, and you kind of stick it into the ground. It holds the ball off the ground. I still hit the ground. The first time I tried, I missed the golf ball entirely. I even missed the tee. I hit the ground. But it holds it up. It elevates it up off the ground so you can hit it more easily. And the bag is quite heavy. If you've flown and gone to airports, you've probably seen around the carousel where people's luggage and baggage come in, these big golf bags. Those people are probably going on vacation or going somewhere where the weather is good and they can play golf. A lot of people actually put their prized and precious golf clubs into, baggage, and they hope that they're taken care of as they go through airport service. So anyway, yeah, you can have lots of different accessories. The bag also can hold other equipment. Maybe you want to bring some food along with you. Of course, you want water. It usually takes, at least 4 hours to get through 18 holes.
I'm not sure if it takes that long, but
it usually
you'll be out there a long time.
My family, yeah.
Yeah, okay, it depends on what you're doing, but of course you have foursomes, groups of 4 golfers together usually, and they move through the course rather quickly, or at least as quickly as they can. And yes, you're going to need some water when you're out there, and maybe some sunscreen as well, because you might get sunburned out there. So these are some examples of some accessories that you might bring with you when you're having a round of golf. And yes, you use the tee to elevate the ball to make the shot easier. To elevate just means to make something higher.
Yeah, to elevate. Elevator! An elevator takes you up from one floor to a higher floor and down again. So yeah, you want to elevate. If you want to elevate your skills, you might consider taking some more classes, community classes, if you've already finished school. So that's just day 1 of our golf unit, guys. We've got another day to talk more about some of the intricacies of golf. But right now, we're going to take a few minutes and listen once more to our Chinese teacher.
好，那我们接着看第3段，请同学看到第一个句子。这里讲到高尔夫球的目标其实就是让这个小白球可以进洞。好，那这是呼应了第2段的第2个句子啊，所以同样的，到现代还是这样子打小白球的，就要让这个球进洞 ，sink the ball into a hole。好，那再来请同学呢看一下第2到第4个句子呢，这边其实是让我们知道说，好，那他们到底打小白球打高尔夫球的时候，整个过程要怎么样进行？好，那我们看到高尔夫球场叫 golf course， 请看第2个句子 golf course。好，高尔夫球场。那再来呢，请同学看到逗点之后的句子 with each hole requiring a different number of strokes。好，那因为呢，整个高尔夫球场有9洞的，也有18洞的。那后面用这个 with， 它等于是附加说明，在这个主要子句以外，附加说明每个洞呢，其实它都会有不同的杆数的规定。好，那要看距离而定。好，那后面要特别注意的就是 requiring 这个动词要记得加 ing， 在 with 这个介系词之后是不可能出现没有动词变化的动词。好，那再来请同学呢看到第3个句子。Players must navigate through water hazards and sand bunkers. 好，这里的 navigate， 请同学要特别注意的就是，那我们知道这个 navigate 有航行的意思。那在这里呢，当然不是指说这个打小白球、打高尔夫球的人呢，他们要去航行。那这个 navigate 不一定是航行哦，它也可以就是在什么地方行进活动。好，那所以啊，这里请同学要特别注意的是 navigate 这里所指的就是这些球员呢，他们要越过这个水啊、沙坑等等的这些障碍。那 navigate 这个字很好用，所以像比方说我们去爬山嘛，那有些时候呢，这些我们知道步道也是会弯弯曲曲，在山脉当中呢蜿蜒，所以我们就可以用 navigate 这个字来比喻呢不容易往前进的这样的情况。Hikers navigating the winding mountain trails. Hikers navigated the winding mountain trails. 就是爬山的人呢，他们 沿着这些蜿蜒的山路哦，那穿越了这个山。好，那接下来我们看第4个句子。第4个句子要请同学特别注意的是后面的这个 strategic planning 所指的就是策略的规划。好了，那我们来到最后第4段。第4段呢，只要请同学看第3个句子就好了。那打高尔夫球的时候呢，除了这个球杆，也有前面讲的 clubs 之外，还要有一些配件，英文叫 accessories。那像什么东西呢？ golf bag 高尔夫球袋，还有 tees 球座。好，以上呢就是我们针对高尔夫球这篇文章内容第1天课程所做的中文讲解。谢谢大家。
That's it for today. Thanks for joining us, and please join us again next time when we continue to talk about golf. And in the meantime, you, of course, can take advantage of our online content on Facebook and YouTube to learn a little bit more. Thanks for coming, and please join us again. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.